What's up, y'all? It's Sensei here, back with another video. The topic that I brainstormed for this one is the art of letting go. This is probably one of the least talked about necessities when it comes to attaining your goals, when it comes to establishing your future, when it comes to fostering and mending and maintaining relationships, when it comes to desire, when it comes to almost every single thing that we want to acquire, whether it's tangible or not. The art of letting go. Now, I know nothing. I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions, and just from my experience and from what I observed in the world around me so far. What I think is that we live in a world where all these societal expectations are plowed onto us. And especially as men, you're expected to have this and that by a certain time, or else you are not a valuable member of society, and you will not reap the rewards period, to be honest. So there's that additional pressure. And when you have all these systems in place and these people trying to cage you into a certain identity or trying to craft you a certain path that you know may not sit right with your spirit, it's very difficult because you become rigid. You don't know who you are anymore. You're allowing the external voices to manipulate your identity, your actual being, in a sense, which I'll get into in another video. When you don't know how to let go, you are not giving yourself the permission to live life. Now, what does living life mean? I don't know, because everyone has their own philosophy. That's why religions exist. That's why spirituality exists. I think everyone can agree that the goal of living, how do you live life? It's to be one with the general consciousness. It's almost like, it's hard to physically describe, but when you fully let go, it's not that you are lazy and you're not productive and you are resting on your bum and doing nothing. It just means that you, in your mind, you know that you can only control your effort and what you put out, and the outcome is out of your control. You can only do what you can do, and you can only get what you don't expect. That was a bar. Overall, I think that life, and this is described, I believe, by Professor Jordan Peterson. He described two dichotomies when it comes to people's lifestyles in a sense. There's chaos and there's order. Of course, that's contrasting. I believe that if you don't know how to let go, if your life is chaotic or if it's in order, then it's equally as detrimental. So if your life is more on the chaotic side, which is the case for most people nowadays because, of course, times are tough, etc., but sometimes it's their own responsibility. But if your life is on the chaotic side, you have tumultuous relationships and a destructive home life. If your financials are not in order, you are currently, job searching, or you just attained your degree and you can't find the job in your field, and you're not economically prospering at the moment. If you don't know how to let go, you might not have a clear vision of what needs to happen. So if you're fortunate enough to not have many commitments, for example, you don't have kids or a mortgage and you're young, if you have the opportunity to, it may not be travel, but just to do a little bit of soul searching. No one can tell you how to do it. I think it's really subjective for everyone. But if you take the time and step back and do some digging, that's letting go. You're living in harmony. You're taking a step back from the systems that have been put in place for you, And you may have a clearer perspective on what you really want to obtain, how you really want to live your life, how you can contribute meaning to yourself and the world around you, how you can actually become a productive member of society, how you can actually fulfill your dream and not just have it satisfy your ego, but to actually be a stepping stone into self-actualization. Now, on the other side, if your life is quite in order, you might be very business oriented, or you might be really career oriented, or just goal driven in general. That takes some of the most incredible traits to live that sort of life. You have to be content with being alone for a long period of time. You have to let go of a lot of bad habits, even ones that, are just distractions everywhere. They're everywhere. They're trying to lure you in. They're trying to grasp your attention. And of course we're human. We have our lizard brain. So that's going to be even harder because you have to ignore the lizard brain. You have to have the discipline for that. Also the willpower. You might have had a lot of trauma. So you're using that as fuel in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. However, if you don't know how to let go, how to detach from the outcome, you're also not allowing yourself to live. I was talking to a friend back in Canada, where I'm originally from. I'm in Australia at the moment, but one of my friends in Canada, we were sitting in a sauna, and he said, money is not the root of all evil. The attachment to money is what's evil. Now, money itself is not evil, but attaching to it, it's an intangible object. It's not good or bad. It's just you're attaching yourself to something that is not conducive. It's good for you to obviously navigate the world, but it's not conducive to fulfill yourself spiritually in, like, when you take the object in of itself. And money's not even an object, but in of itself, it cannot provide you the fulfillment that you think it will. It has to be used right. But it's not even about money. It's about attachment. When you detach from the outcomes, you are living in harmony. You think, and we all do this, I just figured this out today because I've been doing this for so long, but when you're in survival mode, when you're chasing a dream, when you're building your dream life, when you are in school working full-time, or when you're just in school full-time, you're in medical school, you have your vision going and you have a goal that you want to work towards, it's so difficult. It is so shit. You have to be dragged through the mud continuously every single day, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, and years is minimum. Of course it's going to be difficult. You are going to suffer. But if you don't know how to let go sometimes, how to detach, then you are not going to enjoy the process, which is actually the most satisfying part of everything. Of course, the outcome is great, but it doesn't last as long as the days that you were sleeping on the floor, or you might have been homeless, or you might have had an alcohol problem, or you might have been working every single night when all your mates were going for a drink at the local pub and they had a loud car exhaust, and they were bringing random girls home all the time, and you weren't there because you were actually putting your head down and focusing. Those are the best times, and you don't realize that until after. But by letting go during the process of building, you're actually enjoying it. That's what's important. You can't just say, okay, 20 years I'm going to put my head down and grind, and then I'm going to enjoy my life. You have to find ways to enjoy your life the whole time. Life is short. Life is so short, and that's super cliche and everyone knows that, but I feel like we all just forget how to let go sometimes, and that's what it is, living in harmony with the world. Sometimes we think it's important to have an ego, especially if you're pursuing success. You have to develop an ego. All the successful people that you've looked up to since a child, since an adolescent, or even your adult years, All these people developed in, whether it's an alter ego, an identity, or they already envisioned their highest self in the present. So they were living it. It's not like they were trying to find the suit to put on. They hopped into the suit. The suit was just waiting for them in the closet. The suit got lowered. All these people have an ego. However, if you let your ego control you, if you allow it to never have any breathing room, then you are essentially even if you have everything you thought you've always wanted, you're never going to reach what you think you could have been, because you're going to become a shell of yourself intrinsically, emotionally, and spiritually. When you're on your path and everyone else is distracted and they're going to the club every week and you're not, and you're doing your thing and you're on your mission and everyone else is distracted, you might think to yourself, what can anyone else teach me? They have nothing to teach me. We're not on the same path. Now, I agree. In a sense, you are on a very respectable path, and it's very difficult, and you're not going to find many people who are willing to fight for their sovereignty as you may be, or you may want to be. However, everyone can always teach you something. That guy who's been doing drugs at the gas station for 30 years and living there, yeah, he has some flaws, but he might teach you something. He might just teach you something that could change your perspective even a little bit. So you can't let your ego control you. One thing that's also important when it comes to letting go, I think, is just the answer. I think it's important. It's the answer to everything. If you want to find love, you don't chase love. And that's my problem, is I'm always thinking love is around the corner, so I have to capitalize on the opportunity. But that's not how it works. You have to trust the process. You have to trust that the universe is going to provide for you what it's going to provide for you. You can only put your best foot forward. That's all you can control. And part of, as I was referred to previously, part of letting go is also like being willing to change your belief systems. That's so important, man. And it doesn't even have to be your belief systems about the world around you. That's very important, because you might have some certain views on this person or that group, but it's really just it's some sort of rage thing that you found on social media, and it's just a cycle of, oh my God, men are bad, women are this group that, this country. You have to have the flexibility to break out of it, because if you don't, that's essentially your ego saying, nope, I'm right, they're wrong, never changing. And then 30 years, you're gonna be thinking the same thing. Is that how you really want to be? For me, I don't. I really don't. It's also, so it's not just what you think about the world around you, it's also how you conduct your own life for yourself. I remember when I was homeless, I would literally eat food off of the street sometimes because I was so hungry. When I started saving a little bit more money, when I escaped homelessness, and then when I built that business and I started stacking up money, I was penny pinching. I was like, okay, these are the goals. Reach this dollar by this time. And that's not a bad thing. In business, in life, when you have goals, you need to put it down. You need to have clarity. You need to have a vision board. Okay, I want to reach this amount of revenue in my business, or this profit by the end of the year or this month. That's important. But you can't attach yourself to it forever. It's not beneficial for you or your mental health. So when I kept penny pinching, yeah, I was saving money, I was stacking up. And then I reached a certain point in life where I'm like, why am I so attached to saying, oh my God, I need to have this amount saved up before I can do this and be happy? Now, if you want to buy a house, yeah, you need like $50,000, for example. But just stacking money for the sake of it and penny pinching and being impoverished, and, when someone asks you for a favor, maybe the guy is hungry on the street and you're like, nah, I need to save. If you have the chance to give, to be flexible, then that's important. That's very important. You can't live in that scarce, impoverished mindset forever. You have to also train yourself to be like, oh, okay, I spent an extra $30 on this, but I didn't need to. But you know what? I'm not going to be too upset over it. I'm going to get it back. Switching to that abundance mentality. That's also how you let go as well, because when you're super scarce, you become super controlling of every single thing that you believe everything that you believe has came to you, but you think it's the only time it's going to come around, so you don't know how to let go and you just try to force it. It doesn't work like that. I got ADHD. When it comes to topics, I'm going to be taking it everywhere, so I apologize for that. I'm just sharing my thoughts on this, why I really think the art of letting go is one of the most important things in life in almost all realms. I'll catch you guys soon.